Welcome to the deep dive. Ready to maybe challenge how you think about money. Like really challenge it. We're diving into a big one today, a book that, well, it got millions, talking about escaping the whole 9-to-5 grind, the rat race. We're unpacking Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Super popular, a bit controversial sometimes too. And this isn't just, a quick review. We want to explore the mindset he argues you need for real financial freedom.
Exactly. Our goal here is to really boil down the core ideas from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We'll look at the big strengths, definitely, but also importantly tackle some of the criticisms head on, give you the full picture. So whether you're just starting out, maybe feeling a bit stuck, or even thinking about your own business, this is for you, a shortcut to understanding this really influential book.
Yeah, because what makes it hit home for so many people is that contrast, right? These two totally different ways of looking at money.
Yeah.
It kind of flicks the script on almost everything we were taught growing up about getting ahead financially. So let's get into that core idea. Kiyosaki basically builds the whole thing around his own story.
Sure.
These two dads, he's got his poor dad, that's his actual father.
Yeah.
Highly educated, government job, safe career path.
Yeah.
The whole traditional route.
Mm-hmm. Follow the rules, get good grades, find a secure job with benefits. That's the mantra. Sounds familiar.
Totally. It's the path most of us are kind of pushed towards.
Right. And then there's Rich Dad. This was his best friend's father, not the academic type apparently, but a businessman, someone who really got how money works, his focus, financial education, taking smart risks, and the big one, building assets, things that make money for you. And honestly, the entire book just plays on the difference between those two philosophies. That's the engine driving it all.
Okay, so that central contrast, poor dad's way versus rich dad's way, that sets up the big lessons. Let's dig into those. What's the first major takeaway?
The very first lesson is a big one. The rich don't work for money.
Oh. Okay, straight away that's different.
It is. Rich Dad's whole thing was don't chase money, make money work for you. It's about building systems, not just selling your time.
Right, so instead of just clocking in more hours for more pay, you build something that pays you regardless. Is that the idea?
Precisely. Poor Dad worked for his paycheck, time equals money. Rich Dad, though, he focused on building things, businesses, investments that generated income, whether he was physically working right then or not. It's a shift from employee thinking to owner or investor thinking, moving past just trading hours for dollars.
Okay, so if they're not working for money in the traditional sense, how do they make it work for them? That must lead into the next lesson.
It does. Lesson 2. Financial literacy is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, he really bangs that drum, doesn't he? Saying, we go through all this school but learn basically zero about managing actual money.
It's a huge gap. Think about it. People make massive financial decisions without really understanding the fundamentals. It's kind of wild. And this is where Rich Dad teaches Robert that critical difference between assets and liabilities. It sounds simple, maybe, but it's foundational.
Okay, let's park on that one because you hear those terms, but Kiyosaki makes it super clear. This feels like a really huge GE lesson.
It really is central. His definition is simple. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. So the advice is straightforward. Buy assets, things like, income-producing real estate, stocks, maybe intellectual property, and avoid liabilities you don't need.
Things that just drain your cash flow.
Exactly. Understanding this helps you make much smarter choices about where your money actually goes. Stops you falling into that trap of buying things that just cost you more money over time.
Like thinking your fancy car is an asset when it's mostly just expenses and depreciation.
That's a classic example. Or even the house you live in. If it's just costing you money month after month without generating income, it challenges that common thinking.
Okay, makes sense. So no assets from liabilities. What's next?
Lesson 4. Mind your own business.
Which sounds a bit blunt. Does he mean, ignore your boss?
No, not quite like that. It means focus on building your own asset column, even if you have a regular job, a 9-to-5. It's about creating streams of passive income that keeps coming in without you having to constantly work for it once it's set up.
So cultivate something on the side that grows over time. That long-term view again.
Exactly. Dedicate energy to building your financial future, not just your employer's.
Got it. And that ties into the next one, right? Investing.
Yep. Lesson 5 is the power of investing. And his point is, it's not just something rich people do, it's how they often get there.
So it's not about having a ton of money to start.
Not necessarily. Rich Dad's teaching was more about the mindset. Look at opportunities, understand the risks involved, and invest intelligently. It's about being proactive, learning, and making your money grow, rather than just letting it sit. thinking strategically.
Okay, and the last big lesson. This one felt particularly interesting. How the rich use corporations and taxes.
Ah, yes. This is often an eye-opener. He contrasts how employees handle money versus how the rich often structure things. The typical flow for an employee is earn money, pay taxes on that income, then spend what's left.
That's about right.
But the rich, Kiyosaki argues, often earn through a corporation. The corporation spends money on legitimate business expenses first. Then, they pay taxes on what's remaining.
So the order matters.
A lot. It can make a huge difference. He presents it as a smarter, legal way to minimize taxes by structuring things differently. Now, obviously, tax law is complex. This isn't specific advice. You need professionals. But the concept is about understanding financial structures.
It really makes you think about the system differently. Okay, so those are the core lessons. But how he presents them is also key, isn't it? The style of the book.
Absolutely. Its power isn't just what it says, but how. It's written in a really simple, story-driven way, almost like parables.
Yeah, no dense academic language.
Exactly. No complex finance jargon. It makes it incredibly easy to follow, even if you're a total beginner in this stuff.
Some people say it's repetitive, though.
Well, yeah, but I'd say it's repetitive in a good way. It really drills home those core concepts, assets, liabilities, mindset through the stories. It helps them stick. And it feels very motivational, you know? Like you've got this mentor figure guiding you through this financial awakening. It's not dry.
It's true. He doesn't give you detailed financial plans or spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It's more like he gives you a mindset shift.
Precisely. And sometimes that's exactly what you need first, that change in perspective.
So let's pivot to the definite strengths.
Hmm.
What makes this book resonate so much, even decades later?
Well, number one has to be that mindset shift we just talked about. It genuinely challenges that standard work hard, save a little path, makes you think like an owner.
And the stories help with that, right? They're very relatable.
Totally. The relatable stories, you can kind of see yourself or people you know in the poor dad or rich dad approaches. It makes the lessons personal.
For a lot of people, it's like the gateway drug to personal finance, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is the start of a journey for so many. It sparks that interest, makes them want to learn more, opens their eyes.
And the core ideas, they still hold up, wouldn't you say? Assets versus liabilities, passive income.
Definitely. They're pretty timeless lessons. The specifics of how you apply them might change with the market, but the principles remain relevant after 25 plus years.
Which means it works across generations, too.
For sure. Great for all ages. Whether you're 18 or, 48 or older, the core message can hit home. Big strength.
Okay, but let's be balanced. No book is perfect. Rich Dad, Poor Dad gets its fair share of criticism. We should cover that.
Absolutely, and it's important to understand these. First off, it's definitely not a how-to guide.
Right. It tells you what, but not really how.
Exactly. It says buy assets, start a business, but doesn't give you the step-by-step on, say, analyzing a real estate deal or navigating business setup. It inspires, but doesn't instruct in detail.
So you finish it hyped up, but maybe thinking, okay, now what exactly do I do?
That can happen, yeah. Which leads to the next criticism. The concepts can feel oversimplified. Real-world finance, investing, taxes. It's all way messier and more nuanced than the book sometimes makes it seem. It simplifies risks and complexities.
And then there's the elephant in the room. Is Rich Dad even real? Kiyosaki's always been a bit cagey about that, hasn't he?
He has. He doesn't explicitly confirm if Rich Dad was one person or maybe a composite fish representing certain ideas.
Does that matter, do you think? Or are the lessons valid either way?
That's the debate. For some people, if the foundation story isn't literally true, it undermines the whole thing. For others, Rich Dad works as a powerful metaphor for a different financial path, and the lessons stand on their own merit.
Interesting point. It functions more like a teaching tool, maybe?
Could be. And finally, there's the valid point that some advice may not fit all.
Yeah, like the quit your job vibe isn't realistic or even advisable for everyone.
Exactly. Not everyone is in a position or has the desire to become a full-time entrepreneur or real estate mogul. You absolutely have to adapt the principles to your own life, your own risk tolerance, your own situation. It's not a universal prescription.
Okay, so taking all that into account, the good, the bad, the inspiration, the lack of detail, who really should read this book?
Well, if you're a student just kind of figuring things out career-wise, definitely read it.
Or if you're feeling stuck in that rat race.
Absolutely. Employees feeling trapped. Entrepreneurs, too, especially for that long-term thinking aspect.
And basically anyone who never really learned about assets and liabilities.
Yes. Anyone who feels like they missed the memo on how money actually works beyond just earning a salary. It's a fantastic starting point for understanding passive income, assets, that whole different way of thinking.
Because even if you end up disagreeing with some of it,
Right.
it will make you think.
Yeah.
And getting you to think differently about money is maybe the biggest win.
Couldn't agree more. So the final verdict, I'd say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is a truly motivational, definitely eye-opening introduction to financial thinking. It challenges assumptions, gets you asking questions. Is it the only finance book you should ever read? No way. But as a starting point, it's a must-read.
That 4.5 out of 5 stars feels right then. Not because it has every single answer.
No, but because it asks the right questions, it fundamentally shifts your perspective, and that's incredibly valuable.
So hopefully this deep dive helped unpack why it's so influential and gave you a balanced view. It's about understanding money better, getting that new mindset.
And maybe leaves you with this thought. If the core idea is that the rich don't just work for money, they make money work for them. What's maybe one small shift, just one thing in how you think or what you do, that could start your money working a little bit harder for you, starting now?